matters. As a practical matter, piling the additional duty of immigration enforcement, forensics, documents upon our already strained local police will do little more than force illegal immigrants and those who associate themselves into further society's shadows. The negative effect which results thereof are significant. We see undocumented immigrants who have been victims of crimes will not avail themselves of police protection in fear that they may be deported, and will be less likely to offer information or cooperate with police out of fear about their immigration status. The result, increased crime and decreased intelligence. Second, police resources will be drained trying to address this problem instead of focusing their efforts on fighting crime. The immediacy of a police response to a crime report is absolutely vital to maintain peace and security in our communities. And finally, enforcing immigration laws on a local level drastically increases the risk of racial profiling. We see recently where the Supreme Court issued a decision a few weeks ago which permitted Arizona to punish employers who are found guilty of knowingly hiring undocumented workers, a decision that's directly at odds with the exclusive right of the federal government to regulate immigration. While the Arizona law would act in concert and impose burdens, it would be imposing additional burdens upon lawful employers and consequently leading those employers to erect ever-strong safeguards against the hiring of unauthorized aliens without counterbalancing protection against unlawful discrimination. Moreover, the taxpayers will be hit hard for the state to try and uphold this legislation, and consequently, law enforcement will almost certainly be exhausted, given the enormity of the undocumented immigrants. It's now abundantly clear that Congress finds itself incapable of coping with the comprehensive immigration reforms our country needs. Until we stop the rhetoric and address the problem of illegal immigration and the creation of an efficient program, America will not feel safe from the threat of violence spurred by the lack of jobs. They will not have faith in Congress in performing their essential role, and we will not have a thriving economy where a large portion of it relies on foreign labor. The government should be helping individuals. We saw with the DREAM Act where they couldn't even get together to help children by no act of their own who came into this nation by the grace of God were born to parents. And these children, we don't even want to help facilitate an education or have them join our military where they can contribute exponentially more to our society. This inertia, where they won't even address the children, is so upsetting. The ensuing consequences of decisions such as these inevitably outweighs its security interests and actually stunts our growth as a nation. Rather, the position that myself and my constituents take is to focus our energy and resources on utilizing the foreign potential in our territories rather than aiming to push it all away. After decades of researching, it is clear that by punishing the children of undocumented immigrants, this country is creating a disenfranchised group of young people cut off from the very mechanisms that would allow them to contribute back to our economy and society. Our government's steadfast refusal to nurture foreign talent and students has actually hurt our economy rather than maintained its worth among competing powers. The dearth of opportunities presented to undocumented immigrants causes a ripple effect. Entrants come to the U.S. to get the requisite amount of education to prove their competence and occupational worth. The denial also of higher education sends those same students back to their home countries to further develop their skills and ultimately compete against the American economy. From an immigration standpoint, it is especially troubling and wasteful that some 2.1 million unauthorized children, American in spirit but not in law, are now enrolled in U.S. schools but will not be able to lawfully gain employment at the end of their education. Take it a step further. Now, more and more students, whether they have come to the U.S. legally or not, are seeing the U.S. as just a pit stop, who see better career opportunities and a more colorful lifestyle back in their homelands after seeing how the U.S. treats its prospective workers from abroad. This trend is causing what's known as a reverse brain drain, where foreigners are educated here but contribute their resources in competing economies. We bring them here, we train them here, we give them the best education in the world, oftentimes giving them experience in American companies. Then we say, okay, we don't need you anymore, go back home and compete with us. Then we wonder why our economy is in a slump and why India and China are rising the way they are. The local impact of many laws and initiatives of the Obama administration has undertaken to secure our borders has been particularly burdensome. on our foreign students, particularly in neighboring areas such as Rochester, where the U.S. Customs and Border Patrols have an aggressive presence when monitoring immigrants' activities. Many foreign students and scholars experience fear and uncertainty every time they leave campus or travel using mass transit, even when they have their documents with them. Those students who fail to carry their additional documents have been delayed, fined, and apprehended even when they are just a few miles from campus. Now, these young men and women typically run afoul of the customs agency when changing status from a non-immigrant student or a work visa to an immigrant one. During the interim of this process, they have permission to work, live, and travel until their application is processed, which may take years. However, that interim period creates a cloud of fear and ambiguity for customs and border officials who instead see this as a ground for arrest. In short, these individuals are following all the rules, but the government enforcement authorities are detaining them and really wreaking havoc on their lives, scaring them straight back to their homelands in response to sweeping legislation that has been carelessly carried out. It's baffling to see arresting scientists, artists, professors, and students who have been detained and done nothing and everything properly, and do a great job for our country, educate others, and talents which are needed more and more now, not given an opportunity in this economic downturn. It breaks my heart to see this, and I have to tell you that the countermanding security concerns that we have for foreign nationals that may be part of insidious terror circles is outweighed by the outlandish treatment that these individuals are confronted at borders by border protection officers and guards that may mean well but are over the top. It's no secret, ladies and gentlemen, that our immigration system is broken. Both sides of this debate agree on that. For reasons of national security, domestic growth, and international expansion, and to uphold the principles upon which this country was built, it is high time that we provide a viable channel of legal immigration worthy of the 21st century. The solution is not to force immigrant communities into the shadows. Congress must enact comprehensive immigration reform that incorporates legalization or a channel for hiring low-skilled workers and increased employers' enforcement and sanctions. It must do so in such a way so as not to create a generation of individuals that will break the law in the future and will protect our homeland. In fact, immigration reform will provide advocacy and help for a group of people whose lack of rights has made them easy targets for fraud and exploitation. Until that time, it would be wise to maintain the immigrant community's trust with the police authorities and engage all residents in keeping our community safe. The hard work of many immigrants, my grandparents and among them, built America's strength as a unified nation. Our greatness is a direct result of the contribution of immigrants have made to them then and now. Atrocities inflicted upon us by forces from outside our borders will tear America apart if as a result we assault one another from within. Our strength is rooted in the unity of people comprised of all races, creeds, and ethnicities. It's actually what Lady Liberty would expect of us a few nautical miles from where I practice every day. To enact broad-based, sweeping legislation that cuts against this grain is nothing short of a hypocritical effort of our national identity. And frankly speaking, we are thriving despite this economy because of the infusion of the monies and the contributions that the immigrant community has made to our economic sectors. The balance I am advocating seeks to expose but not run out immigrant families who have entered illegally. Rather, by shining light on the undocumented, will help reveal the dangerous few and concurrently ease the economic burden of our taxpayers who now have had additional support from legitimized workers. Maintaining the movement towards federal immigration reform continues here this evening with the workers, leaders, and future leaders of our communities. As proponents of social equity and change, we recognize that America is and continues to be an experiment in democracy, and that after more than 200 years, we get better as we flex our muscles, refusing to grow apathetic, with our eyes always fixed on ways to make our lives better. The responsibility we carry to extend our awareness of much-needed social change is the next step in creating a voice loud enough to force Congress to restructure our immigration laws so that we, as a nation, can continue to be a beacon of hope, refuge, and opportunity to the rest of the world. Thank you, and again, I appreciate the honor in addressing you.